midlife. Like, it's kind of like you think dowdy and you think like put out to pasture and all these
Like
stupid
the old
terms.
crone,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
scary witch.
Totally, totally. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it was driving me so crazy that I'm like, we have got to change this narrative. Like, it is not going to go down like this.
Okay, friends, buckle up because today's guest is bringing both Hollywood sparkle and unapologetic midlife wisdom. From Hollywood's biggest red carpets to conversations that we need most in midlife, she knows exactly how to turn the spotlight where it matters. Roxy Manning has spent years interviewing A-listers, covering the biggest entertainment events, but now she's turned her lens on something even more powerful, which is women in midlife. She's the host of the podcast, The Iconic Midlife with Roxy Manning, where she's rewriting the story that so many of us grew up hearing. Because let's be real, in an industry that glorifies youth and tells us that our value has an expiration date, Roxy is working to change that conversation. She is proof that midlife isn't the decline, it isn't the countdown, it's not what's left. It's truly our power era. So, as someone who loves the intersection of the entertainment industry and real life, I love the perspective that Roxy is bringing to this space. So, Roxy, welcome to the
Oh,
podcast.
thank you so much. What a great intro. Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, thrilled to have you on. Love the things that you're doing on your podcast. Do you think you could tell us a little bit about you?
Yes, totally. So basically, I mean, you gave such a great intro, and just to kind of like piggyback on that, I started in the entertainment industry, God, 20 years ago now. Had no connections, no, like I really didn't know anybody. I just kind of tried to forge my own path because, as most people know, the industry is very tough to kind of break into, and there's a lot of hurdles you have to go through. So I started.
If you're not a Nepo baby,
Yes.
not so easy.
Exactly. And I am like the farthest thing from a Nepo baby. I'm from Dallas, grew up in Texas and went to college here at USC. So I started getting a little bit of a taste for like Los Angeles life and the Hollywood lifestyle and kind of, what that looks like as it pertains to business. So I kind of had that like taste of it. So I knew I wanted to do something in media. So I was freelancing, gosh, yes, 20 years ago. I was freelancing working with different magazines like Elle Magazine, Premiere Magazine, covering red carpets for them during New York Fashion Week and the Oscars. Basically,
So
it was
cool.
it was really fun surrounding celebrity based events. So I loved it because it's like I love chatting with people and kind of getting their story. And then from there, I said to myself, why don't I start my own sort of website where I can post coverage that I do, and it wasn't a conflict because I was freelancing. So it wasn't a big deal. So that's what I did. I started redcarpetroxy.com. It's also my handle. It's where I get my handle name from. And so from there, I started posting my red carpet interviews and being at different events and sort of the style and the fashion and the beauty, and just had so much fun with it. And it took me very far. Like I was able to travel to Paris Fashion Week and London, the London BFI Film Festival with Virgin Atlantic, being their red carpet host, and just really, really cool opportunities came out of that. And that was like 2009, 2010. So was still doing that. And then, really after I turned 40, I noticed a change. I noticed my body changing, my mind changing, just all of these things that no one really talks to you about. And so,
Mhm.
I was trying to find solutions and answers, and I was talking to my friends and even my mom, and trying to kind of understand like what this part of life is. What is it all about? Because there was no like
Mhm.
handbook, there was no podcast, really, there was nothing that was like really a guide to what this is. And I was like saying to myself after talking to people, I'm like, there are other women who are in the same boat, feeling kind of lost and confused and not really knowing what's happening, even to our own bodies. So I said, you know what? It's time. I am going to start the Iconic Midlife, which is my new podcast baby. I'm having the greatest time on it, talking to really inspiring women, celebrities, experts, everyday women about just really interesting stories, and I used my group of best friends from USC, like my girls who I've been best friends with for 30 years, as my kind of test group, and said, what are the things
Mhm.
you want to hear about? Like, what are the topics? And I got they gave me so many great suggestions, from divorce to health to perimenopause to late in life lesbians to women who never had children to, I mean, the list went on. And I was like, there is a need for this. So I'm going to make it happen. And I started it, launched it in June, and it immediately started charting on Apple Podcasts and hit number 20 in the personal journals category. So I was just really excited. And it just kind of reinforced the fact that there is a need for us to talk about these conversations, and it's the farther we can reach, other women who are dealing with these things, I think the better, which is what I love about what you're doing too. I mean, I think it's so important to have these conversations. So that's kind of where I'm at. I mean, I'm also married. I have an 11-year-old daughter who's amazing. We wear mini caps as women. Some of us have kids, some are
Yes.
married, some, have dogs, some are cats. It's just, there's always something I feel like happening with women. So we're truly the multitaskers. So, trying to wear all those hats at one
Truly.
time.
And I feel like no matter what your path is, whether, like you said, married, children, or, not married, haven't had children, leaned into a career, whatever. I mean, when we're at this stage of life, I feel like the playing field is leveled because what's going on in our bodies and our minds, really, it's like that's what's happening for literally everybody.
Yes.
If you're a woman that it's 40s, 50s, beyond, it's like all these things are happening, like it or not. We're feeling a lot. And also this is uncharted
Mhm.
territory. Like you said, there was not a vocabulary. I don't think I heard the word perimenopause until a few years ago. Didn't even know what it
Yes.
was. And so the fact that people are voicing, there is a name for what's happening. There's a name for the stage that we're going through. And let's talk about it. It's not, oh, we're going to push it aside. Nobody wants to
Mhm.
talk about that. That's not sexy. It's time to have the conversations. And the fact that like you and I are both in the podcast space and we received a lot of positive feedback shows that this is what other people are ready to hear as well. So thrilled that we're both doing it.
Yes. I mean, again, there's such a need for this. Like, it would be almost like wrong if we didn't do it, because it's the thought of women just being lost and alone and afraid and not wanting to talk to their partners or not wanting to talk to family members and friends or even their doctors because they don't feel comfortable talking about these subjects is something that I want to change for everybody, and I think it's putting yourself out there really and showing people that you too are also going through some of these same things and trying to figure out our way together.
Truly, because I'm not an expert in any of
Hmm.
these things. We're all like fumbling through together, but gosh, if we can get somebody who knows things, or at least even if we don't talk to somebody who knows it, we talk to somebody who's going through it. And so we have that shared
Hmm.
experience and we realize we're not alone. It's not taboo. So the way that we're feeling is absolutely valid. So one thing that I wanted to talk about, so you are, in the Hollywood space, you live in LA. It's a very specific place as far as the focus and the emphasis and kind of the expectation as a woman, a lot of youth preservation and, the focus is on whatever like sexy, hot, young thing,
Hmm.
right? And so when you realize that it's like, oh, everybody's focusing on this very specific type of person or the 20 something up and comers. And like or not, I'm never going to be 20 something again. But realizing, like we said, people look at you differently than they did in your 20s. What are you noticing about Hollywood and just kind of that scene, how it's treating, women with age and beauty and youth?
I'm so glad you're bringing this up because I do think it's such an important topic to talk about because what goes on in Hollywood gets projected around the world via media, TV, movies, podcasts, music, all of it. So it is so important to talk to because it affects like our children, and it affects our friends and family. I mean, I think for me, it's a mixed bag. I think that when I started in this business, it was a much different landscape. Like, it was so youth obsessed. It was, women were basically kind of put out to pasture after 40. You weren't seen as sexy, you weren't seen as like, desirable, all these things. And I'm sorry, but has anyone seen Jennifer Lopez? Hello, she's well into her 50s and gorgeous.
She is getting hotter and hotter every single year. And I don't know how, I don't know why, but I'm here for it. She has yet to peak. Will she ever peak? I don't think she
No,
will.
she gets hotter, like you're saying, hotter and hotter every year. I'm like, oh my God, this woman is amazing. Jennifer,
More power
yes,
to her.
Jennifer Aniston, like all these amazing women, Halle Berry, Naomi Watts, like they're all owning the truth of where we are in life, in midlife, and they are actually, especially Naomi and Halle are really on the forefront of trying to change laws and putting out products that help women in midlife, and that wasn't an easy road, I would imagine, for them because, before when people really weren't talking about these things, that's a risk to put yourself out there and be like, hello, I'm 40 plus, I'm 50 plus, and these are the things that I'm going through. And they don't sound sexy sometimes, it doesn't sound sexy to be like,
yeah, there's not a way to sex up perimenopause.
no, not at all. Hot flashes, weight gain, like there's just, backaches, like there's just so much going on that it's like, it's like for them to really, I have to give them credit because they have put themselves out there. They're like trying to change things. And I do think that the tides are turning. I definitely do. I still think there is a way to go because you still do hear, the comments of like, oh, she's too old or she couldn't play this role because, of her age, of her stage and whatever that excuse is. So I do think that there is still a way to go. But I think from when I started in the entertainment industry 20 years ago, it has changed a lot. And I'm so thankful for that. I'm grateful.
I love that you've been able to see a positive change because if we look back, my very first magazine subscription was Us Weekly. I got it delivered to me to the dorms in college. Yep. It was like the Paris Hilton heyday. That's when it was. And it was brutal. It was horrible the way these women were torn apart. And so hearing that you have been able to see that there has been a progression, the tide is slowly turning, even if sometimes it seems really slow or 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Yes.
Things are changing.
Yes.
So I love that.
We've got to push though. We've got to keep pushing, and getting the word out there and really doing what we're doing. I mean, really podcasting and like being in the media, like it takes people like us to really change things, and to be brave and not afraid,
And also it's like, okay, I adore the work that these A-listers are doing, but to make it feel accessible and make it feel relatable, oftentimes I need to hear the normal people, the people who maybe are not on the covers of magazines, but the people who are just talking about it. I want to hear my sister. I want to hear my girlfriends. I want to hear colleagues speaking about it as well, because, yes, hearing it from this person I've never met and I never will meet. I love what it's doing to like the macro, but I also need to see it on my street. I need to see it with my peers. Yes. So yeah, I feel like filtering down is really, really helpful.
As the kids say, in IRL, in real life.
As the youth say.
Totally.
I am past the point of like trying to be super cool. I have my son, he's almost 16. Aww. And like every day I am reminded that it's like, oh my gosh, we do not have the same humor. We do not have the same, as far as like the instantaneous, like TikTok memes, all the micro trends, so far different. But I love what you said, like the tides are turning, and it made me think like you have a daughter, I have a daughter, and hopefully, in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years and beyond, the world is a different place where they have that support and where they have much more realistic expectations, and they never feel like at this stage they're less than, or, oh, they're, not the hot young thing that they, were when they were 20.
Yeah.
And that's fine. It's fine because they're the hot 40-year-old thing. They're the hot 50-year-old thing, like no matter what.
Well, and I think that too, you bring up a good point because it's like, where are you right now today? Like, don't live in the past, don't live like 20 years ago. You need to like live. At least for myself, I try to do this. Of course, the mind wanders back and you think about things that have happened previously, but to really be present in today and accept where you are is huge, especially in midlife, I feel like,
Truly. And I feel like, there are things that you see that kind of shock everybody to be like, where's the mindset? Like, did you see the movie The
Oh,
Substance
yes.
with
Oh
Demi
my
Moore?
gosh. Was that not freaky? I'm like, oh,
That was
wild.
wild. But really, I feel like, okay, I took maybe an extreme
Hmm.
example of like the world's fixation on youth and beauty to see, like, oh my gosh, this is really messed up. I mean, don't necessarily need to do all the big scary
Right.
things that Elizabeth Sparkle did, but just kind of shocking you into like, oh, we really do need to look forward. We need to stop fixating on this very specific thing.
Yes.
I feel like it had lots of shock value, but it also opened a lot of eyes
Yes.
and hopefully got a lot of people talking.
100%. Like you're saying, it was very extreme, but that is the obsession, you know? It's like the obsession. And hey, listen, I'll be honest. Well, yes, I've had Botox. Yes, I've done like lasers. Like that, those are things that I've definitely, I'm not saying like I don't like to look refreshed and I don't like to look, in my view,
Mhm.
what I think is pretty, you know, or what have you. But like, you know, I think like when it is your whole life like that, like when it is like your identity, that's hard, you know?
Mhm.
Like that's really hard because you can't stop the clock, you know? You cannot stop time. And like
Mhm.
it's about like really accepting yourself, you know? And sure, there are days when I wake up and I'm like, "Oh my God. My eyes are puffy, like I don't feel, you know, great
Mhm.
in my body." And it's like, you know, it's a balancing act. It's like some days I feel better about myself and some days I don't. But like generally speaking, I try to kind of say to myself, this is where you are today, the good or the bad, you know, and the ugly. Like you kind of have to accept it because there really isn't another way, you know?
Yeah, and I feel like when it comes to your look and how you're feeling, because, of course, we're not going to look the same way we did when we were 20
Hmm.
or 30 or, whatever age. And so it's kind of thinking of what is your motivation as far as like, okay, are you choosing to, do whatever cosmetic thing because somebody thinks you should, or because that's what you want to do to feel your best? I feel like it's where the intention is, because shoot, I'm like counting down the days until I get a black, because guess what? I want that for me. There is
Totally.
absolutely nobody that's
Yeah.
encouraging me or saying, oh, you should do this. Or if you did this, you would get more work or more people would follow you on social media. Like, it's not that, but you do what feels right for you. And then also realizing like, everybody's supposed to start looking older, and that's the way it's supposed to be, except for J.Lo, and she's just whatever magic she's doing, she can
Yeah,
keep on doing.
totally. She's like mastered, like whatever she's doing is correct. Like she looks so good. I mean,
Seriously, she's
maybe
doing it
we should
well.
start a bluff fund because I would also like one.
Yes, seriously. I definitely there's somebody in my life, I won't out who, because I don't know if they want it out, but it's like they finally got one and they were quite a bit
Mm.
older. And the first thing that she said after was, why didn't I do this 10 years ago? So I feel like, okay, I don't have to wait till I've been dissatisfied with this for
Mhm.
decades. Like, go for it. So yes, my husband, he's been put on notice that it's like, this is happening, man.
Totally.
And it's for me, it's not for you or for anybody else. But I want to talk a little bit about, so you lived in the Hollywood bubble, but you want to change the narrative. Like, can we talk about why midlife and why now?
Absolutely. You know, I think going into midlife, I literally had no clue. You know, I just kind of wandered in. I started feeling my body was different. You know, I started feeling my eyes going a little bit and like just the weight wasn't coming off as easy as it did before. And sleep, you know, I started having all these kind of crazy symptoms and I would look things up and I really couldn't find anything. You know, I mean, here and there, maybe an article, maybe this back, you know, here and there, but there wasn't like a solid movement, you know, there wasn't a solid platform and there wasn't, you know, a lot of the questions because it's not even just about health. It's about like your friendships with your, you know, your best friends and your husband and
Hmm.
you know, it's like there's so in business and work and career, there's so many different facets of like what happens, the changes that can happen in midlife that I was like, and I've always kind of been a bit of a problem solver. Like when I started, you know, Red
Hmm.
Carpet Roxy, kind of the same thing. I'm like, I should just do this for myself so I have like complete control and I can, post up what's going on, in the day to day. So I think for me, it's just kind of been one of those things where I've always sort of put myself out there a bit and tried to find answers. I want to find answers for people. Like, that's why my DMs and everything are always open for people. I'm like, send me your, what you want to hear, like your topics, guests that you want to have come on the show. Like, I think it's a two-way conversation always. And I love like getting to know my community. And for me, it's also just community building. I love having a community around me. Like, and these women are so badass. Like, I feel like my iconic life like community is just so amazing. Like, they're just, they're so smart, and they're so like not afraid to question like what is happening to them, and what's going on in the world. And I love them so, so much. And it, like, honestly, I feel like I get more from them than they get from me, because it's like they're just the coolest. Like, I absolutely love them. So I think starting a community was really important for me too, because I knew there were other women that must feel the same way.
I love that. And like for me, starting this brand new baby podcast and like, being on Instagram in a more public way, I don't know where all of this is going to end up or what the end result, but it's like, I love, like you said, the idea of building community and having people, like, there are a lot of people who maybe don't feel like they have people that get them or on the same wavelength in whatever their little community in their neighborhood, in their family or whatever. But it's like, the wonderful thing about this online space is that you can find your community, and they might not be right next to you, and you might not be going to dinner with them or going to brunch, but it's like you can hear from them, and there's just a lot of strength and solidarity in that. So I love that, like, you recognize that need. At what point in your journey did you realize, like, oh my gosh, whatever industry, whatever people are telling me that this is the time, that it's like, oh, we kind of step back into, there's only so many spots for the over 40 bunch, like the midlife women. There's only room for like 3 at the table. So sorry.
No.
Where's the moment where you're like, absolutely not?
Because you know what? I think it comes down to, and I totally know what you mean, because it's like that, especially I feel like with women, like, oh, there can only be like this many women of this type in this situation, or, here and there. And so I totally get what you're saying. I think it's just believing that there's enough space for everybody. And that's sometimes a really hard thing to accept and to really think about, because I think by the nature of, especially this business, and just it can be competitive amongst women, and it's, which I think is so sad, because I honestly do think there is enough space for everybody at the table. Everybody has their own unique voice. Nobody can be anybody else. You can only be yourself. So I do think that is something. And I mean, I totally drink the Kool-Aid too. Like, I didn't believe it at first, because, just especially in the entertainment industry, it's like women are
cutthroat, man.
Yes, cutthroat. Women are pitted against each other. You hear, people talking about this person, and it can be ugly, but I think it's just fully accepting the fact that, yes, in fact, nobody can be you. You can only be yourself. And there is enough room for everybody at the table. In fact, one of my favorite quotes, and it's so basic, but it is, be you. That's it. That is it. Be you.
One of the first podcasts that I ever listened to, it was Awesome with Allison. And her tagline what she would say at the end of every episode is, only you can be you, and you are already as awesome as you need to be, which
that's cool.
Was genius,
yes.
Right? I loved it. And so something like that, where it's like, you don't need to change. You're already amazing.
Yes.
And again, like there's room for everybody, especially in the online space. Oh my gosh. It's not like, oh, there's only one corner office, or there's only one podcast that can be the podcast you listen to, or, whatever creator. And so I feel like, gosh, there is so much room. And there's so much need.
Yes, 100%. And you know what too? Like, I feel like fear holds so many people back, especially women. Like, you're afraid to kind of dip your toe and, get out there and put yourself out there. And it's like, honestly, I heard another quote too that was like, you can be the sweetest peach in the basket and somebody isn't going to like you. So I think the likability too is what holds people back from fully expressing themselves. And it's like, you don't need to be liked by everybody. Not everybody is going to like you. That's just life, and you have to be strong enough to be like, I don't care. That kind of noise doesn't mean anything because it truly doesn't change your life. Like if somebody across the country or even in your neighborhood doesn't like you, that's their thing. That's not you.
Mhm.
Just putting yourself out there and just not being fearful in that way, is
Yeah,
does a
and
lot.
it's like you're not for everyone, and that's okay. That's
That's
a
okay.
them problem. That's not a you problem.
Exactly.
I feel like I've likened my podcast to hiking up Cringe Mountain in a lot of ways because you've
Totally.
been putting yourself out there for a long time, and I think that is amazing.
Oh,
This is brand new for me, so I'm just like hyperventilating. But tell me about how has it been putting yourself out there?
you
Because this
know,
is nothing new.
Yes, it's funny again because I've been in this industry for 20 years and I sort of constantly had to put myself out there. I am used to doing that, but there are days when I'm like, "Oh my God, like I'm such an idiot. Like why did I do this? Like so cringy, like you're saying." And I'm like, "Oh, like how can I edit this? Like how can I take it down or whatever?" But it's always a work in progress, I feel like, but I do think that I now the older I get too, I just turned 50 this year. And so
Yay!
I'm like the big 50. But I think the older I get, the more acceptance I have, about listen, you're going to put yourself out there. There are going to be people who don't like you. You're
Mhm.
not for everybody, but for the right people, you are, and you're doing something positive to help other people. And I think that too is a driving force for that.
Mhm.
It's like, because it is for the greater good. It is to help other women, underserved women, I think, midlife women, it's time
Yeah.
to take a stand and change things. So that drives me.
So now that I mean you're 50 years old, you have learned a lot, you've experienced a lot. What is one thing that you're so glad that you don't have to do anymore in your 20s that you'd be like, absolutely, never again?
Probably going out every single night.
How do we
How?
even do that?
How? I mean, literally would go out till like 2 or 3 in the morning and wake up for work the next day, but not hungover. I'm like, strangely enough, like, how does that happen? But yeah, just having to sort of do that grind of like feeling like almost feeling like I had to be out. Like
The
I
social
the
grind.
social grind because it's one of those things. I feel like for me in my 20s I was like, okay, well I have to be out because like my friends are out, like that's the way we meet
Hmm.
people, and it's almost like there's like, and it's fun. I mean, let's be honest, it's fun when you're out in your 20s and dating and meeting people or doing whatever you're doing. But I think now I'm much more settled. I mean, I still love a good girls' night out. I mean, don't get me
Oh, for
wrong,
sure.
but they're more quality than they are quantity now.
Hmm.
So I think that, and then also just feeling like I have to please people. Like being that people pleaser. Just not. I don't have to worry about what everybody else is thinking. I need to focus on what's going to get me to my goal. How am I going to help people? How am I going to put a quality product out there that people are going to resonate with? How do I build this community? How do I take care of my daughter? How do I, keep a great marriage with my husband, take care of my family? I have aging parents. There's so many other things that are going on that I don't have time to think about. Okay, what is whoever need for me, or people pleasing, or worried about what other people think. I really think the whole zero fucks thing is, or
Hmm.
fewer fucks, I should say, really comes into play.
Well, I mean, like there's so many things that you like, so many amazing nuggets from what you just
Mhm.
said. I mean, from going back to like when you were in your 20s and going out and not wanting to miss out, like there was the FOMO, but
Mhm.
now I feel like there's the JOMO, the joy of
Yes.
missing out. Like I'm okay. I'm good. I'm good.
Yes.
Like you guys have your fun. I'm gonna be at home relaxing. And it's like, yeah, still love to go out here and there, but like every day, absolutely not.
Yes. Don't,
Cannot,
don't
will
you
not.
love when plans get canceled?
It's kind of
Okay.
like it's like it's a little bonus. I mean, love my
Yes.
friends, love my girlfriends, but like I'm not gonna be sad.
Totally.
And then what you're saying of like who gets you, you've got a lot of things tugging on your
Mm.
attention. I don't know if you are a Swiftie. I
I
love Taylor Swift
love
and I love what she
Taylor. Mhm.
said a couple weeks ago in her interview on New Heights when she was like, think of your energy as if it's expensive. this is something that not everybody can afford. So if it's a rando person over here who is not, adding to your life or really doesn't deserve that energy, you can just say no. And I love that. I feel like she is a wise woman.
Yeah, she is. That was such a great quote. And she's so right about it, because people don't deserve your energy just because they're around or they're, in your life or what have you. It should be expensive. And I think, honestly, that is what has saved her in her trajectory of her career, is that she was able to identify that early on, and has really held true to that and not succumb to, giving too much of herself, and that's so respectable. I mean, we went to the Eras Tour twice last year. So good.
Oh,
so good.
love that. I went when she came to Nashville, and it was truly just the most amazing thing.
good.
And I mean, and it was pre-Travis, because I was, I guess, at the beginning of the tour, and I cannot wait for Showgirl to come out. I cannot wait to just
be so good.
whatever is coming next for her. And then I was literally on Instagram when I saw that her and Travis were engaged, like I think, 2 minutes after the post or something. And I was so excited. I ran upstairs. My husband works from home. He's on a call. I interrupt his call and I'm like, Taylor and Travis are engaged. And he looks at me like, okay. Like he could not care less. And I'm just like, oh. So then I had to text my friends, because I'm like, you did not give me the reaction that we needed.
Totally. You're like, can you do this for me, honey?
Yeah, it's like, come on. So I love the phrase that you have in your podcast description, which is like aging like an icon. Mm-hmm. Like, I want to know what that means. What does that mean to you?
I think it is living the most authentically that you can. Exactly being who you are in the moment. There's nothing more iconic than that, I think. Like being who you are, being comfortable with who you are, warts and all. I think that is what is truly iconic, and just being authentically you. And I try to show that, in my podcast, on my social media. Sure, there's highlight reels and there's, cute pics and things like that too. But it's like, there's day-to-day stuff too. And there's like, especially on my stories, I'm like, oh my God, you guys, here's what's going down, and it's
like Hot Mess Express right here.
Totally.
But everybody's hot mess sometimes.
Everybody's hot. Taylor Swift is Hot Mess Express at times, It's like, she just has a really good PR team.
Oh yeah, Tree Payne, she's earning that money.
Yes, Tree actually went to my school. I went to USC, and she's an alum as well. And we were there, I believe, at the same time, but I did not know her. So I'm kind of bummed I didn't know her. I was like, oh my God. She's amazing.
Dang it. No, I mean, just to pivot a little bit, like you going to USA, it seems like, the guests that you've had on your podcast are so fascinating. You know some fascinating people, and I love it. I think it's the coolest. Like Wendi McLendon-Covey.
Yes.
She is so cool. I think, and listening to your interview with her and just, like, gosh, you've had so many cool people. I was listening to the one with my unorthodox life. Like, you have met some really, really cool people in these like powerhouse women. I feel like, gosh, how cool is it to be at this point at midlife and to have like this pack of women who seems like they just get it and they have really, really cool perspectives on life.
I think it's such a great point, because it is truly, I think life also comes down to who you surround yourself with. And that also can impact the way you think about yourself, And I think that putting powerful, just cool, funny, comfortable with who they are types of women, knowledgeable, smart, just makes you better as a person. So I always, my friends and I, my girlfriends and I from USC, we always joke. We're always like, oh my God, we won the friend lottery, because I feel like we're all super different, but in our own ways, everyone is a powerhouse in some way. Everyone's, doing this for a career, or has an amazing family, or has traveled the world, or, there's always something going on, and they are truly my mirrors in life. I go to them and talk to them about things that are going on in my life, and they don't sugarcoat it. It's straight up, and they will call me out. They're like, no, Roxy, this is not right. But then they are also so supportive too at the same point, So I think that is really important to kind of surround yourselves with. I do also feel lucky, because I've been in this business for 20 years, that I've made great connections. So like that translates into really good guests. And I'm super excited because I have a bunch more amazing people coming on the show, you included. So that's going to be fun, of course. So yeah, I mean, I think it's just getting after it, getting after it, putting yourself out there and surrounding yourselves really with, amazing people, or the people that you want to truly have in your life, that'll make you better.
For sure. I mean, I would love for my listeners to know some of the highlights of your podcast so far. Like, what are some of the conversations that stand out to you that you have just loved? Things that just have really taught you something or kind of expanded your mind?
I kicked the show off with one of my best girlfriends from USC. Her name is Tracy Tutor, and she's on a show called $1 Million Listing Los Angeles. And she is talk about a powerhouse. That woman is a powerhouse. And it was so fun to start the trajectory of my show with her, because we've known each other for 30 years, been in each other's lives, been in each other's weddings. We've gone through all of it. She's been through divorce, there's just a lot going on. So I think for me, it was really important to start at that place, because I feel like when people I've heard that when they come to my show, it's like talking to your best girlfriend, it's really, and so I thought with her, that would be the best way to kind of lay that foundation, because we truly are, best girlfriends. So I think it was really fun to do that. I've had amazing experts on, Dr. Louise Newson, who is like the forefront of menopause in the UK. I mean, she is literally one of the top docs there talking about this stuff. And she has been talking about this and hormone therapy, hormone replacement, all these kind of topics that people weren't talking about before. She's been talking about for decades, and really getting it out there. And like you said, Wendi McLendon-Covey, she's come on another show that I've had in the past, and she just is wonderful. She's so funny, down to earth, just a great, great gal. And Julia Hart from My Unorthodox Life, who was just
fascinating women.
Fascinating, right? I mean,
fascinating.
That's the thing. Everybody has such a cool story, and it's for me, it's I want to talk to so many different people, not just celebrities, but these experts and everyday women. I mean, I'm going to be bringing my sisters on, some of my other best friends on, but also having more celebrities on and experts. And I just think it's so cool. There's a mix. I feel like for me, I'm just such a person that can't settle on just one way. I feel like I've got to have all the variety and all the flavor. So it's been great. It's been really fun. So I've had a great time with it, and we've got some amazing guests coming on down the pipeline. So I'm really excited about it.
That's so cool. Yeah, I mean, it seems like you've met a lot of people. You've had a lot of really cool conversations, not just on the Iconic Midlife, but your red carpet career. It's just, for me, I do geek out a little bit over that. Love the celebrity, the pop culture, the entertainment industry. So it's wow. That's really, really fun. So at the end, I'll have to ask you about, some of your highlights or some of your favorites.
Yes, for sure.
So one thing that I'm really wanting to know is, what advice would you give women who kind of feel stuck in the shadow of should have done, regret, too late, I'm too old to do this, if I were going to start this, I should have started it 20 years ago. What advice would you give those women?
Oh my goodness. I would say you're never too old. You're never too late. Speaking from what a lot of people would call a late bloomer, that is me. You're never too late. You're never too old. I think it's really getting back to your roots and discovering what your purpose is or what really interests you. And that can be as simple as pulling out a piece of paper, writing down, I like to do this. I enjoy doing this. Really trying to get to know who you are, because I think in midlife too, a lot of us have raised children, we've been married, we've been in careers, we've done so many different things that we can lose ourselves and who we are and really what truly makes us tick, because we've got all of these other things going on in our lives. So I think, really sitting still, being present with yourself and trying to quiet the noise. I mean, even if you want to meditate a little bit, I'm still working on that. I'm like, I really want to get to a place where I can just calm all the
Quiet the mind, quiet the mind.
totally. Totally. I'm like, that is my goal this year. So I think like if you can just quiet yourself, quiet your mind, and literally, I mean, I think there's so much power in writing things down, literally taking a pen and paper and just being like, I like to do this. I love to rescue dogs. I like to hang out with my friends. And just slowly but surely you'll create a list of things that really are important to you and you prioritize from there. What do you like? What is the top one or two things that you really like that you can put into play, soon, or, whatever your timeline is. But I do think the most important part of all of this is just putting one foot in front of the other, like actually taking action. Because if you sit there and you just sit in it and your mind is going, and believe me, I've been guilty of this too. Your mind just goes and says, oh, I want to do this, but I don't for this reason. And I feel like I'm too late, but I'm scared here. You got to just quiet all of that and just make the first step. And yes, it's scary, totally scary. I know how that is. Like, it can be scary AF, but like just putting yourself out there and doing the first step. And believe me, everybody else thinks it's scary too. It's not like you're the only person in the world that feels stuck or it's scary or doesn't want to do something. We all feel that way, but it's just doing the first step. You just have to, once you start action, it's amazing how things happen, and like more action happens, and then it's another step, and then you get more clarity, and maybe you get more support from people around you, or maybe you just feel better about yourself, which I think is huge. It's really truly how you feel about yourself,
The time is going to pass anyway.
Yes.
Whether you do it or not, the time is going to pass. And so, make that step. It makes me think of, you have a daughter, so I'm sure you've seen the movie Frozen 2 like 30 times. But like
Probably
the
55.
song that Anna sings, where it's like the next right thing, or where it's like there's no course that, you don't have a plan, but like let's just do forward motion, forward momentum, even if it's like just creeping along. It doesn't mean that you have to be a CEO of this big company, or you have to be, have 1 million followers, or be, revered in some public way. It's the little things of the forward momentum that stacks up huge. If if you're moving forward a little bit every single day, then that amounts to something enormous.
Yes.
So I think remembering that, and it's like even those little steps add up.
Yes. Baby steps count, everybody. Baby steps count,
Truly.
because that is forward motion.
Yeah, it makes me think, did you ever see the movie What About Bob?
Yeah.
Like with Bill Murray, where it's like, baby steps on the bus, baby steps here. But it's so true. Like, if you think of like, how am I going to do this big thing or achieve this big goal? Or even if you don't know what the big goal is, I want to do something big and I want to do something that matters. Well, what are you going to do? I mean, you got to build something small, and all the people who built something or had something that was very meaningful in their life, they had to start somewhere.
Yes, 100%. Nobody starts from like 1,000%. It's like everybody starts in some way at some point in their life at the bottom. You just do. And it's like you can't have everything at the very beginning. Like it's just not possible. So it's just doing something, a little bit of something every day.
So, you've made it clear that midlife, it is not the downhill second half. Like this is the main event. This is where we know enough. We use all of our knowledge and all of our experiences to actually like self-propel. I think of women in, say, the public sphere of pop culture, like, Julia Child. She didn't start, she wrote her first cookbook at like 49 or something, and then she built something huge. Or there's other women who really have been like grinding for a long time, like a Jennifer Coolidge or a Viola Davis. They put in their time and they worked really, really hard for a long time. And now when they're getting all the attention, all the accolades, I just feel so thrilled for them, because it was not where, they're this overnight success and they landed on top.
Yes, 100%. I love that quote that's like a 20-year overnight success, where it's like they've literally been working on it for like decades, but like we've only come to know them, basically it feels like overnight. And it's like that's the thing I think too that people don't see is like the backstory of like what that took to get there. It's like
Yeah.
constantly putting yourself out there, like constantly, trying to motivate yourself, and everybody has these pitfalls and these valleys and like, peaks. And it's like you're saying, like you don't know what the future is going to bring. You don't know the trajectory. So it's like, you just have to kind of go with it and do the best you can.
Yeah. So when you think of like your midlife and you think of, making bold moves, making things happen, being not just in neutral, but like having the car and drive, what do you see as one of the bolder moves that you've made to really get yourself where you want to be?
I think for me, launching the show was huge, because I too kind of waffled a little bit. Like I knew I wanted to do it, but then I was letting the fear sort of hold me back, and I was like, well, is it going to be successful? Are people going to like it? And of course, those are questions that like normal questions to pop in the head, but it's like, for a period of time, I was letting it stop me, and I'm like, you know what? I just have to do this. Like, I just have to put myself out there. So just, launching it, trying to get, as all the things you do to prep a show and get it up, on air and doing all these things, and really taking that risk, I feel like you can stay in the same place or you can take risks sometimes and put yourself out there. It may be successful. It might not, we don't know. Thankfully, things have been good, so far. So fingers crossed. But, you never know. You never know. It was definitely a risk, because I didn't know how it was going to be received, And so I think for me, really being bold to talk about this in midlife, and just really put myself out there for this show. And like we talked at the top of the show, it's like midlife, like before, wasn't sexy. It just wasn't. So to like really associate yourself with the term midlife, like, is also kind of a risk, because midlife, like, it's kind of like you think dowdy and you think like put out to pasture and all these stupid
like the
terms.
old crone.
Yeah, exactly.
The scary witch.
Totally. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys, we have to. And it was driving me so crazy that I'm like, we have got to change this narrative. Like, it is not going to go down like this. Just because we're in midlife doesn't mean we're not sexy. Doesn't mean we're not desirable. Doesn't mean, we don't have fulfilling lives and we aren't still growing. And for me too, I think it's like, I'm still discovering who I am. I'm still learning things. Like, there's no put out to pasture. There's no end date. It's like, it just keeps going and growing. And I just want to make, life richer for everyone who listens, and who hopefully, has great takeaways and, will feel comfortable in who they are even more,
I feel like the goal is to always be learning and growing. And it's like when you're stagnant, that's when there's a problem.
Yes.
It's not, when you're getting older or, whether, it's like there are certain things that I'm never going to be doing in my life and I'm okay with it. I'm never going to be a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. Like, that's okay.
That's okay.
I need to be a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader, right?
Yes.
Like, I'm fine saying, okay, these things are, maybe not for me, but like the idea of continuously learning and growing and realizing, okay, I don't know everything, but I can be learning from this person. I know very little about some of the medical things that have to do with menopause. Like, I haven't started the hormone replacement therapy yet. I'm not quite to that stage, but I love finding people that are 2 steps ahead of me. And so when it's time, I know what to do, where to go, and I'm not just going to be like languishing away in misery in whatever stage, whether it's, perimenopause or whether, you said your parents are getting a little older, aging parents, the places that I'm going to be in the next 10 years. And so I feel like in a lot of places, finding the people who are just right with you or just a couple steps ahead is so helpful.
Yes, it is so important. And we can learn from like the women who've come before us, it's like, there's so much knowledge in like our parents and grandparents and like the older one. But I also think that what you and I are doing is so useful for the younger girls coming up, even the ones who are like not in midlife, they're in their 20s. Like, a girl in her 20s is so lucky in the fact that she will have so many roadmaps when she gets to this stage of life in midlife, like, because there's so many amazing content creators and people putting themselves out there and talking about these things that I mean, it'll be such a different landscape for those girls, you know, than compared to like when I was coming up or even now for you, you know, it's like they're going to have so much more.
I love that. So before we close, can you entertain listeners with a few of your favorite celebrity conversations and encounters?
Oh, yes, definitely. I would say, you know, I have a few favorite interviews that I've done. One of them is Kate Blanchett because she is amazing.
Queen.
Amazing. Amazing. And little known fact, her father, she's Australian, but her father was from Texas, where my whole family is from. So we got on like talking about that. She's so wonderful because she's such a girl's girl, like just a great, solid, you know, grounded, seemingly grounded person, you know, just amazing. Not to mention all of her, you know, her work and her accomplishments. She's an amazing actress and has done so much. So I absolutely love her. Another favorite was Robin Williams, like the late Robin Williams. Oh my gosh, he was
A treasure. A treasure for this earth.
treasure. So, like, there are some people in the world who can't help it, who are just like, he was like electricity, like, so funny. I remember it was like a red carpet, and I basically just handed him the microphone and he just went with it. I was like, I don't even need to be here. I like want to watch you just do your thing. You know,
Yeah.
he was such a lovely spirit and just so entertaining. And also another comedian who sadly has also passed was Leslie Jordan. Do you know Leslie?
And he's from Tennessee. He's
Yes.
from Chattanooga. Oh,
Yes.
precious man.
Precious. Like oh my God, adored him. He was another hilarious interview. Just, you know, one of the one line comebacks and the quips. And again, one of those people that is just so naturally funny and entertaining and has that light about him, you know, like, which again is so sad that he passed, but he was another fun favorite. I think another one, Serena Williams at New York Fashion Week, which was amazing.
Oh my goodness.
So
That must
fun.
have been
You know,
so cool to meet her.
it was so cool. She's so iconic, obviously, and has totally forged her own path, you know, and has done so much and is in the realm of not only sports, but like business and fashion. She was designing a line, and it's just so cool, like just to talk to these people and like hear their stories too, you know. She was another great one. I really want to get Oprah. I haven't had Oprah yet, but I really want her. I've had Gail. Gail was great.
Wow.
Yes.
So cool.
I'm like, I want to hit up like all the like people I've looked up to, you know, my whole career and in life. I'm trying to think who else. There's been great ones, you know, even like Kim Kardashian, like all that, actually all the Kardashians are so professional. Like they show up on time. They do what is asked of them, you know, like from start to finish.
There's a reason why they've gotten to the
Yes.
point that they are. These are business women who are not messing around.
Right. And like love them or hate them, you kind of have to respect that, right? It's like they're so professional. Like they do it all. They do all that's asked of them. They've created amazing brands, you know. Kris Jenner is such a businesswoman. I mean, just a powerhouse. There's been really great ones, you know. So I'm always like excited to see what the next red carpet brings or what the next episode of the show brings. But I mean, I just feel like there's so much more to be had. Like I'm so excited.
I love that. Well, Roxy, before we close, I have the final 4 questions that I always ask my guests.
Okay.
It's really fun to just hear everybody's perspective. So, question 1, what is the first concert you ever went to?
Oh my goodness. I remember it clearly. It was in 1989, maybe 1989. I think I was like 8th, 9th grade. And it was New Order and the Sugar Cubes. So
Ooh.
it was like,
Is this in Texas?
yes, in Dallas. You know, when you always remember your firsts of things like that, I mean, I don't remember a lot of the concerts I've been to since then, but the first one is the one that always stands out, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. Like you'll never forget that.
Yes.
What about your best concert?
Oh, wow. That's so hard. Can I have like a few choices?
Give me the top 3.
Okay, top 3. I really loved the Eras tour. I mean, it was wonderful. Like, just, I mean, she is such an entertainer. And, you know, for me, I think with concerts, I love obviously like the talent and the skill of the songwriting and the music, but I also love when people are amazing entertainers, you know, and it's like they can command the stage, and she is one of those people. So like for that reason, like both the music and her like stage presence and like just the work she put into producing and creating that show night after night, huge.
Truly.
Loved it. Loved that concert. I always love to see U2. U2 is such a great concert. I mean, if you like, you know, I think we went to the one that I loved the most was probably the Joshua Tree album when they did I think it was like 5 years ago, maybe somewhere there, where they decided to go on tour and just do the entire Joshua Tree album again. I was like, oh my God. And like hearing those classic songs, With or Without You, and just all those things, Where the Streets Have No Name. So that was amazing. U2 is great. The Madonna concert. I was in the south of France, 2008, and went to the Madonna concert like in Nice. It was so cool. Like,
Wow.
it was she's such obviously a force, and this was about gosh, almost 20 years ago. So she was like still like doing her thing and like really touring hard and all that good stuff. So the concert itself was amazing, but then we also had Bono in one, like on one side here, and Elton John on the other, watching her
you
perform.
kidding me?
No, it was
Wow.
talk about iconic. I was like, oh wow. I'm like, this is cool.
It's like my brain is overloading.
Yes. I'm like, who do I look to? I'm like, oh my God, there's like so much going on.
You've seen some amazing concerts then. Wow, that's so cool.
So fun.
Who would play you in a movie? Who would you want to play you
Oh,
in the movie version of your life?
oh my God. Oh, that's hard. Maybe Jennifer Aniston? Maybe? Like, I don't know.
That'd be wonderful.
She would be.
She's like amazing.
Amazing. Like, what's not to love, right? I mean, she's so good. Yeah, I guess maybe I'd say Jennifer Aniston. I think like just her vibe and like kind of her, you know, like, I don't know. I love what she puts out. Like, she's got great shows, great movies. Yeah, I think I'd say Jennifer Aniston. Who would yours be?
You know, I'm not really sure. You would have thought that I would have, you know, given some more thought to it. I mean, there's no physical resemblance, but Reese Witherspoon, I love
yes.
her. I love how she's got some sass, she's got some fire. You know, she's sweet, but she commands the room. So that's probably where my head goes to first.
Yeah, she is pretty amazing. Hello, that would be great.
Okay, last question. What have you found at 40 and beyond?
Ooh, I think I've found pieces of myself that I didn't know before, you know, and I think I found strength, like more strength than I thought that I had, you know, and just, I think I found more of my purpose, you know, really getting myself out there, trying to build community and help as many people as I can. But I think I'm still finding myself, you know, it's never over. I think we all as humans change, you know, over time, and we don't just stay in one place. So I think it's like that constant, you know, wanting to know more and the curiosity and I mean, I think finding purpose is probably the biggest one. I had my daughter, I birthed her when I was 39. So she's 11 now. And so, you know, that also gave me such a rich purpose in life, you know? So I think 40 was big for me because not only was it kind of like this unsaid marker in life where you kind of approach, you know, and go into midlife, but it also changed my life because I had my daughter. And so it gave me, my life became so much more fulfilled, you know, and I love being a mom and being a mom to her and raising a daughter. It's hard, you know, it's like the emotional roller coaster is on full blast, like all the time.
Oh yeah, tween years are here.
Here, like full blown. And I, in fact, think they grow up a little faster even than we did because of, you know, media and social media and all the things. But I mean, she's given me so much just, you know, by being who she is, that it's such a beautiful process to watch her grow up. And I'm just excited to do that. And then, you know, there's the husband, the 20-year marriage husband who I love and adore, but you know, 20 years.
Same here, 20 years right here. Well, Roxy, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Would you be able to tell listeners where they can find you?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Chrissy, for having me on the show. It was wonderful. I'm so glad we could make this work because you're a force. So I'm glad we did this. So you can find me on social media at Red Carpet Roxy, and that's Roxy with a Y. That's my personal handle where I post a lot of red carpet and fashion and style and some parenting and travel and all those kinds of things. And then you can find me on at the Iconic Midlife, which is the name of my podcast. New episodes drop every Tuesday. The YouTube episodes come out on Wednesday. And I'm very active on social for that as well, where you can get inside scoop about midlife and upcoming topics and guests. And I always have my DMs open because I want to talk to my community. So please feel free to reach out to me, on any of those channels. Please be sure to listen to my show because I really want to know what you guys think, because I really, truly, you guys are my guiding force. And I'm so thrilled to be here. And thank you for your support.
Yes, everybody go follow Roxy. Go listen to the Iconic Midlife with Roxy. That's amazing. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. And now you're coming on my show.
Yes. So excited. Yes. All right.